Hey everyone, hi. A new episode, and I'm really excited to have two unique gentlemen. I bumped into these two gentlemen because of a brilliant product that they've just introduced, are introducing, and I wish them the best. I'm so excited about it. When I was thinking about what type of guest to bring on board, believe it or not, I literally woke up saying, you know what, I really would like to bring the team from Extrovert on board. They have something which I think is unique. I want these two gentlemen to talk about the product. I want to talk about what they have done from a sales point of view. I'm very excited. Dima, Oleg, welcome to the show. So, gentlemen, let's kick off by allowing you to kind of introduce yourselves, where you guys are coming from, where you guys are going, and then let's take it from there. And just so that everyone is aware, the title of this show that the gentleman came up with, which I really thought was awesome, was Social Relationships Are the New GTM. And I'll immediately have a lot of you listeners thinking about, wait a minute, this is interesting. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, social relationships are the new GTM. And to tell us more, Dima, Oleg, over to you.
Thank you so much, Deepak, for the invitation, and thank everyone for listening. It's really great. And maybe a couple of words how we found ourselves here. A couple of years ago, actually 3 years ago, Oleg and me, we exited from our previous company and started a new one, trying to sell our very powerful, very boring, very expensive enterprise software, and mainly used our network. And when the network was over, we need to establish regular sales, right? With outreach, with regular marketing, etc. Heavily relied on outreach, and nearly nobody replied. And it was so frustrating. It's normal, everyone knows, but we took it personal. So we wanted to find a way how to fight with it, and started to experiment with different social mechanics. And then we found one fantastic thing. When we interacted, engaged with our prospects' content, like commenting on LinkedIn and discussing things with them, we quickly became recognized as allies, not strangers. And so after that, we sent them connection requests and suggested to talk, and they were open to talk. And we jumped like from 5% reply rates to maybe 50% reply rates. It was complete game changer. It was good news. But the bad news was it was super time consuming, crazy. So we found ourselves spending all day long commenting on other people's posts. It can last forever. So we tried to find a tool to make it more effective. We didn't find any, so we built it for ourselves. And the next insight was when our friends and partners, they say, wow, we need that also. Please give us the access. And then we realized it's potentially much, much bigger business than we used to have before. So we switched all our resources to this, and we launched Extrovert for our friends initially, but then in July 2024, we made it open for the public. And since then, we've been growing fast. So, and just by the way, this morning I was checking our statistics and found we have customers from 30 companies already.
Bravo, bravo. I like that. Now, Dima, I'm going to ask you to hold on because I can sense the energy is going to be amazing.
Sure,
So I need
sure,
to.
absolutely.
Oleg, please tell me a bit about yourself because I am so tempted. There's so much Dima said. I've got like these three questions popping in my mind, but I know what's going to happen. And anyone who's listening knows very well Deepak never loves to talk. So I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Oleg, tell me a bit about yourself as well. And then I'm going to dig in deep into some of the stuff that Dmitry said.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having us, Deepak. I really appreciate being here. And thanks for everyone listening. So yeah, I think what's cool about our team is that it's not our first startup. It's not even the second. I think we failed some already together. And for me, what I find very interesting that we are now in very interesting times. Like even when we first started Extrovert, like maybe 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, it was very different like it is now because of LLMs and because of AI. And it's constantly changing, but you have this foundation of, founders that trust each other. Also, our teams of engineers that work with us as well are from previous startups. So that helps a lot. So I'm most of my life, I was a founder. I like barely worked 9 to 5, and I'm really excited about these times because, everybody can build now, and it's very unpredictable. It's very scary, but I think it's very interesting because a lot of things are shifting and moving, and super excited to.
So Oleg, I'm going to go back to Dima, I'm sure, but there's something you said that I was just going to pick up right now while it's fresh in everyone's You have not been a corporate citizen, right? So you do not know the meaning of the word slavery. Awesome. I love it. Question for you though is, when you were setting up, right, you did not have a frame of reference about the corporate world. And many people sitting are looking at you and saying, lucky bugger, because I did 30 years in the corporate world. And in my opinion, when I moved out and started working with startups and, I actually found myself using frameworks which did not resonate very well with the people. The lucky news is that I'm entrepreneurial at spirit. So I'm going to ask you a simple question though. If I were to ask you, and if you were to dig in deep, what excites you about being an entrepreneur? What excites you about this that keeps you going? I mean, you've been doing this for a long time, right? You've had a lot of failure, and failure we know is the price of success. And a lot of people on this call are sitting here because that's the type of stuff I really want to dig into. So you have a few failures. So what keeps you going then?
The thing that somebody said, or it was written on the wall somewhere, I don't remember, that we didn't do it because it was easy, but because we thought it was easy. So I think it's the part of the magic, when you are, naive a little bit and you just, go for it and try to build stuff that you are not aware of all the obstacles. And also, the other thing, what drives me personally is fast feedback loop. So if I have an idea, like I'm listening to the podcast on Sunday, I got some new idea, and on Monday I can execute. It's really fruitful to see the results of the actions that you can take very fast. But of course, grass is greener on the other side. You always sometimes envy people who have stability. I always do that for sure.
Yeah.
So I think it's to both worlds have their own issues.
Absolutely. But that was really interesting. And I'm really grateful that very early, I would say we're only like 10 minutes into this podcast, and we've actually got into what I would call principles. Now, going back to you, Dima, because you mentioned that LinkedIn was very powerful. You've seen both good, sad, bad sides. So from that is where there's something that Oleg said, which just blew my mind, which I'm going to connect back to your conversation is, Oleg just said about, I saw it written somewhere on a wall. And to be honest with you, I don't know if anyone remembers, but in the good old days, maybe 20, 25 years back, when you used to go on to calls, they used to put that music on while you're waiting for the other people to come on, right? Or the host to open the call. That music, someone did research, became the most played piece of music on the planet at one point. These are the old WebEx, Cisco, Zoom, pre-Zoom days, those old days. And that made me laugh. Today, this writing on the wall, I think, is a LinkedIn standard, right? So we see these quotes. And the reason why I'm calling it out is that many people on this podcast are reading these quotes and then clicking to read the next quote. And then they click to read the next quote. Listening to Oleg, there's one advice I would give to everyone on this call. Read it, lean back, absorb it, and think about what is that quote actually saying, and will you do something about it? It's like, everyone says I have a religious book at home, but then I look at their behavior and ask myself, well, good luck with the book then, because you're not living up to its standards, right? One of those things. Dima, coming back to you though. So as you do this trial and error, right, and as you understand, were you using some very clear thought process in how to pursue the product, how to, let's say, gain growth in the market with this product, specific tactics that worked, specific tactics that didn't work? Because you said that July 2024, you went live, and then now you're in 30 countries. There's some growth there. I don't want to double click on the growth numbers and stuff because this is early stages for you. There's some passion there. There's some energy there. But just give me a feel for what were the tactics that you use for people listening in to kind of understand what sales, what growth looks like at this level.
Well, maybe two important disclaimers here. What worked or didn't work for us might work or not work for you. So there is no like one size fits all. The second disclaimer is the second most important disclaimer, we still don't know the right way. So we keep trying, keep experimenting. Our maybe the most important things we implemented were first, it's content. And I would like to thank you very much, Oleg, because initially I was a little bit skeptical about that. But now we clearly get a lot of signups from people who just read somewhere about Extrovert, and somewhere means Oleg's posts or reposts or mentioning. So content is superpower. That's number one. We do outreach, of course, because one of the most powerful things that can be done with Extrovert is boosting outreach efficiency. So that's what we do. The shoemaker with shoes. uh,
Yeah,
yeah. The third thing are partners. And this is also a very, very powerful channel. And we have different kinds of partners. We have affiliates, we have resellers, we have added value partners who provide services to their customers, like agencies, etc. And this is a slowly growing initially channel, but then it's like a flywheel. So when you have momentum, it starts growing rapidly.
great.
So
What
I think, yeah.
No, all I was going to say is that I'll make sure to the listeners listening in that we will share Dima's and Oleg's contact information. I'll also share the website. Feel free to reach out. Reached out to them on a constant basis when I have something on my mind about their product or something going on. And these two are putting a tremendous effort. And I believe that that's one of the reasons why I always look at passion, right? Dima, Oleg. To me, passion is how quickly did someone reply back to me? How quickly did someone understand my question? And how much patience and grace is someone showing and replying back to me? I cannot tell you, but to me, these are amazing criteria to look at. If I look at the companies that I work with, and I've been an entrepreneur only 1 year, in that 1 year, I can tell you right now which of my clients are going to do well, which are not going to do well. Because intuition tells you that same behavior. I have a feeling that you two are on the right track because you're respecting your clients. And I think that's very important in this game, right? We have all these $250,000 MBA programs going there. And when I go hire some of these people, I just sit back and wonder, what exactly did they study? They seem to be very complicated. They use big complex language. But at the end of the day, growth and selling or building a business is down to some very simple discipline and simple. And I'm really excited about this conversation. Let's spin this a little bit here. Nima, you started off by really calling out the pain point that you saw in terms of how people were using LinkedIn. Could you give me a bit more about why you are so adamant that the new GTM that we are building is this style? Social selling is a new GTM. So kind of help me define social selling. What do you see are the issues of social selling? Which, to be honest with you, I'm complaining about excessive social selling. I'm drowning in it. How would you differentiate that? How would you clarify that for the listener?
Just a couple of weeks ago, we ran a webinar together with our partner, one of the biggest European venture capital studios, next to a huge venture capital fund with dozens of people. And I was thinking how to make it clear, how to answer similar questions in an easy way. So I just thought of a picture. Like, we all live in a world very, very noisy, right? We are overwhelmed with incoming requests, calls, emails, everything. So we like physically cannot answer to anyone, not because we are not polite, but because we physically cannot do it. So we just have to prioritize. And the priority number one is taken. It's our family. Mom is calling, wife is calling, or kid is calling, you take the call. That's it. The second priority is our job, our boss, our colleague, our client. No way, you cannot skip it. You take the call. And our friends are priority number three. You also talk to them. And that big change is that there is no more any priority number four. That's it, period. We just don't have time for it. So unless you are a family member or you are a colleague or a customer, the only way to get her is to become friends, to fall into the third category. And that's exactly what we are doing. We make people consider you, recognize you as a friend. I don't mean a close friend, but acquaintance, something you can trust, something, some meaningful person. And that's what we do. And why commenting is so powerful? I think there are two reasons here. First is more or less obvious. Everyone likes to be recognized. So if I post something and you tell something encouraging, I like it, right? But the most important thing is that like most people post about things that matter to them. So when you join this conversation, you automatically get into the spotlight of their interest. You're not trying to change their interest. You are joining them. Like one of our partners said, don't talk at people, talk to people. So you are talking to people, right? So that's why it's so powerful.
It is, and as I use the product itself, right, and I don't want to get into a product demo type of conversation, but the reality is that you absolutely nailed it. if I just look at my own, I'm spending maybe 3 hours on. So I'm what I would call an extreme LinkedIn user, right? And as an extreme LinkedIn user, I can assure you, I make 80% of my revenue in my consultancy from those people. But here's the reality. It's still coming from a handful of people that have managed to get through with all this noise around me. For me, when I look at that and if anyone comes and says to me that I will help you manage that noise, it excites me because noise is the killer for revenue. And I cannot explain this in very simple terms. So to anyone listening in, I would just tell you, manage your time on anything that you do. At the end of the day, if you have to make X number of cold calls, right? Everyone, when they define a cold call or a cold email, I'm just trying to think that as you speak, that there seems to be something called a cold comment now, like a cold outreach happening via LinkedIn. Could you tell me a bit more about the thought process and what you have seen work with the users using your product? What type of feedback are you getting in terms of time saved, in terms of impact made? I mean, you gave us your perspective and you gave us a summary of the pitch you made, but what exactly have you heard from customers that gets you excited about that we're solving a real problem? And Oleg, you're welcome to jump in as well. My apologies. I keep looking at Premium, but
For sure. First of all, I wanted to reflect just a little bit of what Dima just said. First of all, I like how you put work before friends. And I am the same. I think it's not, applicable for all people for sure. But that's maybe why we are co-founders, and that's why I just realized it. I just started all these things. So,
bro,
I actually wanted to maybe show a different perspective. Like it's the same, but maybe from a view from a different angle. Is that I am doing a lot of product work, of product strategy work in Extrovert, and I'm always thinking, how do we make it more valuable to users? There is the very common question that people ask, like, how can we make a painkiller, not a vitamin, right? So how can we make the product so good that when we reach out to people, we hit like top five of their pain points, like that they think about. And it's funny enough that I was interviewing our users, like maybe I did 30 interviews during the last couple of weeks, and almost none of them sold this kind of product. Products they sell or services are really good, they are really valuable, but if I would, judge what place they take on the rank of their prospect, I doubt it's even the first, 30 or maybe 50. Probably we as well. Like we have built pretty useful thing, but I wouldn't say that, it's something top two that our prospect is thinking about all day. And if we are in this world and it's getting, even harder because with AI, it's easier to create software, it's easier to solve problems, and the most obvious problems are solved, So how do we get attention of our prospects? And I think that the way to get attention is actually time. So what I like about it is that it's kind of a double-edged sword. It can be your enemy and it can be your friend. If you can manage a way to be top of mind of your prospects long enough that they notice you, long enough when they move to this, pyramid where only top 3% is actually thinking about, buying the on every specific moment. This can be a really big unlock. And historically, what's interesting, I think it was the marketing problem. So sales haven't, thought about it. Just sales job was to convert, like an SDR job or account exec job. You have an SQL or MQL, and you go there and you convert them, right?
Yes.
But I think now it's blurring because just watch how corporate content performs on social media and how personal content performs on social media. There is
Very good point.
a big gap in there. People just want something they can trust, and usually it's people. And people who are the people in our companies that can be close to our customers. Those are salespeople. because they are exposed. The founding team, the CXOs and the sales leaders or sales reps, right? So that was also, I think it's maybe the same thing that Dmitry just said, but slightly from a different perspective, from a different angle. So that's what we are trying to do.
I loved your angle, and I'll tell you why I loved the angle, because you said certain words which are on the screen right now. You spoke about selling, and that's the audience that I have, right? And we also spoke about going into, so there's this old thing that marketing used to do, right? You're watching an ad and you lean forward and you say to yourself, I didn't even know I needed that, but I need it, because we are like the boiling frog, right? You're in warm water and it's heating up, but you sit there. People have been used to using LinkedIn in a certain way. LinkedIn also, if I think about it, and this is, I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent because Oleg, you actually made me realize something here. What LinkedIn used to look like 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, even 2 years ago is not true anymore, right? Because everyone has a so-called formula. And in that formula, people pay people thousands of dollars to learn how to write on LinkedIn, how to comment on LinkedIn, blah, blah, blah. And then you have all this automation, right? And I think people are missing the point in the same way that they miss the point with AI. AI is the tool. Ultimately, it's the human in the loop that's actually going to do the work. And that's now what I really liked about your tool or your thought process, and Oleg, you actually went very detailed into it, is that we have this word of choice that you guys use, friends and so on. Anyone on the call who's a salesperson, forget the word friendship for 1 second. But do we agree that when we do B2B selling, it's actually belly to belly? There's a human speaking to a human. People like to talk about themselves the most, Dima, right? That is true. Now, what an opportunity. People are talking about something that's very critical in their mind, and you can now comment in context to that. Now, we know that people are drowning in cold emails and direct DMs and so on and so on. But comments is what I call trickle feed. Now, Oleg, you spoke about something very powerful, and I want to really hammer this into people's minds. You drew a pyramid, and if you look at a pyramid and you look at the top 3%, but there's something more powerful that Extrovert brings to the table that I'd like to position to gentlemen. It's not about the 3% that see you and talk to you and buy from you today. I would argue that Extrovert positions you to build relationships with that 97%. So everyone on the call who's used to giving me statistics, because I worked with in the last 1 year, 4 different cold email companies that have tried to help me make more money than I can ever spend. That's the pitch, right? That's the goal. Here's what I've learned in the process. Everyone is fascinated by what percent of people are going to open my email. And I've always said, when you have that starting point, that's a problem for me right there. I liked what Oleg said, but I would position it as follows. The way that Extrovert works, you may think it's an email that's not been read, but that's not true, because it's the lurkers that are going to come back to you later. And that's what LinkedIn brings to the table. Email is no lurking. You drowned, you're gone. In a comment, you have gone to a person and actually personalize your comment to his comment. Don't they tell us to personalize our cold emails and our cold calls? Isn't this a great way to do it using a comment? And here's where I would like to use Extrovert in my own business, Oleg, is to focus on that 97%. I want that 97% to read my comment, not even like it. Don't like it, I don't care. But somewhere in the back of the mind, he sees this name, Deepak. Interesting. Okay. Moves on. Couple of weeks later, he sees my name again. Deepak. Okay, interesting. What just happened here? What just happened here is that you have now received the gift that I've been waiting for. I believe that relationship building is not a once-off effort. It's those days are gone, right? Where you tit for tat. You got did this, I do this for you. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. No, people are drowning with this stuff. They actually want to see your value, because the very first DM that I get sometimes will tell me, "Hey, we work with coaches like you, and we have a guy that's made $1 million. We'd like to do that for you as well." And I'm excited, right? And then 5 companies later and $10,000 later, I realize that it doesn't work like that. And that is why, Dima, I liked your disclaimer right at the start. Guys, I'm going to give you some guidance here, but it may not work for you, right? So that's true. That's true. I get it. And I respect that. I'm now going to get into a slightly different tact over here, right? We speak about a product or a tool, but how do you sell this vision to people out there that you are looking forward to? Say, you just spoke about, speaking to a few investors, right, Dima? What happens in that scenario? What are you selling in terms of, give me 3 bullets that actually explain what problem your product solves and how you share that vision with people outside. I just want to make sure the sales guys on this call absorb that message and then see how it applies to them.
Yeah. First, maybe again, like Oleg, I would reflect back to the previous point about
Absolutely.
sales. So I think one of the major mind shift here is how we perceive sales. Because traditionally you perceive sales as a cause. And we believe that sales is an effect. And course, there are many courses. So it means that if you build relationships, if you create value, if you do everything, then you get sales. If you perceive sales as a course, then you start with we do, or I can help you, or it doesn't work like that. It's all about myself. Who cares about me? Nobody does. So it's all about the customer. So bringing back to what you said, ask. Basically, we think there are two major cases. First is sales case. Second is marketing case. So for sales case, we make people open to talk to you. We buy you these 2 minutes of sincere attention, and then everything is in your hands. So we can bring you 30 to 50% on average reply rates. That's our statistics. For marketing case, it's like we keep you top of mind of your customers according to your account-based marketing strategy without being salesy. No more irritating advertising, no more crazy emails. Following my 5th email in a sequence, do you still remember me? Or I didn't get a reply from you. What do you think? No, you are very natural. You don't push, you don't sell, you are just there. And you know what's interesting? According to our statistics, when you even before you try to sell, from 10 to 15% of your prospects, after you work them up systematically, they get to you first. It's crazy. They just send you first message. They send you connection request. They start the conversation, and so they feel trust. They are gratefully don't sell, so they are open to talk.
Makes sense. That makes sense. So this is interesting because I really think that we've got some momentum going. So let's just keep going on that front then. So Dima, if no, I know I did ask the question, and I think I'll force you to answer it though. Still, if you were to just give me the 3 or 4 bullets, and maybe I change the question to as follows: I'm a salesperson. I would like to use your product. What would you say a day in the life of a salesperson look like who's using your product? How would he go about using the tool in his day-to-day activities, and what do you predict things may look like as he goes through it? Does that make sense? Is that a logical question to ask? Because I'm just trying to make sure that audience
very much
can see how we can use your product to do that.
Well, there are two news, good news and bad news as usual. So the good news is that you don't have to change your routine. You keep reaching out, you keep doing what you do. So you run extroverting in parallel. Actually, you just shift this activity a little bit earlier to the outreach.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you just preparing your activity, what you are going to start in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. The bad news, it's because it's still human in the loop, so you will have to spend time. Maybe 15 minutes per day or 20 minutes per day, some spend 30 minutes per day. What you do is you load your prospects into the system, and then you review their posts and suggested comments. You edit and approve that. I know that people who are accustomed to this process, who are like professional users, can do it like 60 comments per hour. In most cases, you don't need so many. You might need 12, 20, 30 comments. So it's like 15, 20 minutes.
So tell me a bit about the commenting as well, because one of the things that I noticed as I was playing around with Extrovert and getting very used to the interface is that one, it's intuitive, it comes to you. And I actually think it's designed for scaling, which surprised me because, and it also requires discipline, which is you really need to be crystal clear on who are you targeting. So that's the message I can get to the sales team. If you are pretty good and profound at, this is not a spray and pray moment anymore, ladies and gentlemen. You're looking at a tool or product that actually will magnify your focus. So if you only have 100 or 200 ICP, don't worry. You will actually get a very focused result because the way the tool is structured is how I looked at Dima. So if I'm a salesperson and I am now using your tool, I should be able to, if I understand what you explained is, zoom into specific people that I want to target, use the tool to do commenting on that, make sure that I dedicate time and effort to do it in good sized chunks so that I can address it. Does the tool allow for tracking and to see what exactly is going on in terms of how many comments you have made, who you have addressed, and so on? How would I know that I'm not drowning someone with too many comments and stuff like that? So what type of guardrails or regulations have you built in that allow people to see their own behavior in terms of what they're doing? And how does your AI learn from all the work I'm doing? I'm very curious about that. Throwing a lot out there. Just see how you like to address that.
Can I maybe address this? But before I do it, just want to take a little step back and say that comments are super weird because it's a social interaction, and
Right.
it's very important social interaction on LinkedIn. So it's one of the 3 interactions, like main interactions that are possible. You can post, you can DM, or you can comment.
Yeah.
And it gets, I think, very little love out of those 3. There are a lot of people who obviously tell about DMs. There are a lot of people who, talk about posts. The whole industry is built around those 2, right? Coaches, products, everything. But people perceive comments. I think most people perceive comments as something you do when you scroll. Like you just scroll, you have some free time, you want to kill some time, you find some post from your work buddy, you just hit, great post, John, and you move on with your day, right? And I think the part of the reason it is like that is because LinkedIn is kind of weird. It's a place where we can sell. It's the place where we can do, professional work. But we shouldn't forget that at first it's a social network. It's optimized for time spent. Is the first reason they built this thing, for you to scroll the endless feed, to always get the dopamine, to always, interact, do some kind of stuff. So what we found out, and it was one of the reasons we built the tool, is that by default it's difficult to perceive comments strategically, because if you think about it, and if you think about different target groups and different strategies, your commenting strategies can be super different. Just give you a couple of examples. Like the first strategy can be getting more visibility by commenting influencers' posts in your industry. Like say you are selling whatever, you are an expert in something. You can go to other experts talking about your area, and you can showcase your expertise. And how you do it will be very different compared to if you want to just make a touch point with your prospect or with your existing customer. Because with your prospect, you want to be a little bit more active. With your existing customer, you shouldn't comment like every day, right? We don't want to stalk people. We just want to be there maybe bi-weekly or monthly. And even the comment copy, your choose of topic, you choose of post, your choice of the post, your choice of the moment to interact, your choice of frequency is different. And the regular feed just doesn't give you that. You just get the feed. The algorithm thinks you should see some posts. You just get this post, and you just react to what you see. So coming back to your question, what we show and how we structure the process. So I think it's not a rocket science. We just try to build it around the workflow or around the playbook that you want to realize. So if you have a workflow, I want to warm up my prospects before I reach out. You create a campaign, you put a specific list, you choose the time frame, the duration that you want to interact, like say twice per week. You choose the number of comments you want to make before you make the outreach, and boom, you're good to go. You have the feed. And you can go there and you see the feed, you see the suggestions, and you interact with those suggestions. You can have another workflow if you want, which would be called like, I want to nurture my not nows, people who are not ready to buy now, but I want to be,
keep talking.
top of mind. And the engagement strategy will be slightly different. It will be a different list. You can sync it with your CRM. The frequency will be different, but the logic will be the same. If you have time for both today, fine. If you have time for only one, you can do the one. You can do the second one tomorrow. So I think the main idea is to structure this workflow, because the funny thing about what you said about social selling in the beginning, I think like there is this about this word social selling. There is this meaning like this is an art. It's something that your sales reps should be naturally good at. Social sellers. How do you do it? Be genuine, be authentic, like. But I think if you want to scale this, and you need some kind of scale for this to work, it should be a science, not an art. It should be a workflow that you can give to your reps, to yourself, because other things will get in the way, and you should have the repeatable process that you can follow. So that's the main idea.
So I'm going to stop you because there is so much in what you said, but let me just summarize it as follows. The system will always beat anything that you do on an individual level. And I just like the way you explained. Initially, we started off with social selling being soft, touchy-feely, but in the end, we agree that you need to have a powerful workflow. And I think that's what I agree with you. I've always said this to salespeople. When you're trying to scale your business, when you are at a small level and you do the stuff that's in your control, that's awesome. But as an organization grows, you need to start bringing some structure to the madness. What used to take you 3 hours needs to be sharpened and whittled down. Because when you do the assessment of 3 hours, you actually realize you actually did real work only for 30 minutes in it. And that type of a thought process. Now, we started off a conversation around social selling, but what we actually realized is actually structured selling. We are now bringing some method to the way we engage. I really like the trickle feed thought process. This is what I'm going to do. There's so much going on in this podcast that even I would want to go back and listen to it again. And usually I'm the guy that has nothing can scare me. But I think that what happened in the last, I would say 10, 15 minutes is really powerful. I really want the audience to step back. And what I will do, especially for this podcast, is actually create some summaries in terms of the new definition of social selling. And let's make sure that with the podcast, we actually give a handout. I'll work with you, Dima and Oleg, to literally create a 2-pager that kind of summarizes this talk, the value to a salesperson, and let's attach it to the podcast as well. I see tremendous value in that because I learned so much about the product and the thought process that went into it. I think there's very big importance in sharing that with salespeople so that they can understand how Extrovert integrated into their day-to-day work can actually make a major impact in how they are selling out there. B2B, like I said before, is belly to belly. So let's keep reminding people about that. What I'm going to do now is, gentlemen, in the interest of time and to make sure that people keep this punchy and get everything in it, that's about 30 minutes we've been talking now. Let's wrap up. Last question that I have is, how do people reach out to you, Dima, Oleg? Give us some of your website address, if you don't mind, an email that we can reach out to you on, and your handles on LinkedIn. If you just want to just quickly shout them out, that'd be great, so people know. I will also publish all of those at in the footnotes to the podcast and in the LinkedIn post that I'm going to do with it as well. So, gentlemen, wrapping up now. How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so please engage with us on LinkedIn, of course. Search for us as Oleg Sobolev and Dima Bergelson. And we are always happy to get connected and discuss anything. Mention Deepak, and we'll give you like another 10 days of free trial. And just send them a message.
The Indian and Deepak is excited. I'll take free poison also.
Thank you. Yeah, and I will leave my WhatsApp in the description of the podcast. You can reach any way you like.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're happy to connect and also happy to support each other's content. So I think that's part of the way that we creators on LinkedIn should do, is engage with each other's content, especially with people who just starting. Yeah, because the algorithm is crazy now and we need to support each other. So please do reach out. Please, is there an algorithm?
Yeah, this is so cool. To end off with a little bit of LinkedIn bashing is so nice, isn't it? Let's do that. So, yep, the algorithm is a mystery. I will leave it at that. But what I do know is Extrovert as a tool helps you make sense of that mystery, because now you're taking back some control. And I think control is always good, guys. I know we talk about freedom. I get that. But control is good, because otherwise the rules are gone for a toss. But gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. There's one thing I just want to shout out to the audience. Getextrovert.com, right, Dima? Oleg, that's the website. Getextrovert.com.
GoExtrovert.com.
GoExtrovert.com, right? Perfect. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, Thanks for your time. I really appreciate this time that we've spent together. I personally learned a lot. Grateful for that. Bye bye, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, Deepak. Thanks for having us.